Imagine walking into a store in 2035. You pick up a bottle of water, you walk toward the exit. There is no checkout counter, no cashier, no card machine, no phone tap. The shelf sensed the weight change. The ceiling camera mapped your silhouette. The biometric scanner read the vein pattern in your palm as you walked through the doorway. The transaction happened in the space between two footsteps. And the money that paid for it was not a rupee, not a dollar, not anything you could hold in your hand. It was a programmable digital token, issued by a central bank, tracked on a distributed ledger, and authorized by an algorithm that knew your identity before you even entered the building. This is not a concept. This is the payment infrastructure being built right now, in 2026, inside central banks across 40 countries. The paper note in your wallet is not just dying, it is being deliberately retired, and the system replacing it does not just change how you pay, it changes who controls what your money can do. Physical cash is not failing because people stopped wanting it. It is failing because governments and central banks want it gone. In 2025, the Bank for International Settlements, essentially the central bank of central banks, published a report that did not frame the question as whether we should eliminate cash. It framed it as how soon we can. China has already run the experiment at scale. The digital yuan has been tested in more than 25 cities. Over 260 million wallets have been opened. The government has distributed digital currency directly to citizens' phones, tracked every transaction, and in some pilot programs, programmed the money to expire if not spent within a specific window. Not a discount, not an incentive, an expiration date on your own currency. The European Central Bank is in the advanced phase of the digital euro project. India launched the e-rupee pilot in 2022. And has been expanding it steadily. The Federal Reserve in the United States has published frameworks for a digital dollar. Nigeria, the Bahamas, Jamaica, they have already crossed the line from pilot to live deployment. More than 130 countries, representing 98% of global gross domestic product, are now exploring or developing central bank digital currencies. This is not a niche experiment. This is a coordinated global transition. And the most unsettling part is not that cash is disappearing. It is what the replacement is designed to do. In 2035, money is not just a medium of exchange. It is a piece of software, and software can be programmed. Imagine a government stimulus payment that can only be spent on food, not alcohol, not gambling, not investments. The code inside the digital rupee enforces the restriction at the point of sale. You cannot override it. You cannot find a workaround. The money simply will not move. Now, extend that logic. Imagine a digital currency that expires 30 days after issuance, a form of forced spending designed to stimulate economic velocity with the structural power to punish saving. Imagine a version where your spending limit is tied to your carbon footprint, where your transaction is rejected not because you are out of money, but because your monthly carbon budget has been exceeded. Imagine a system where your credit score, your social compliance rating, and your ability to make basic purchases are merged into a single algorithmic identity, and a single authority decides whether your transaction is approved. These are not hypothetical scenarios. These are the stated design features being discussed in central bank white papers, pilot program reports, and policy working groups across the world. The language they use is soft: programmable incentives, policy-linked conditionality, dynamic spending parameters. But the architecture they are building is hard. It is permanent. And once physical cash disappears, once there is no off-ramp, no anonymous medium, no way to transact outside the digital layer, the programmer of your money controls everything you are allowed to do with it. What happens to financial privacy when every transaction you make is recorded, time-stamped, geo-tagged, and permanently stored on a government ledger? Because that is not a dystopian hypothetical. That is the technical reality of central bank digital currency architecture. When you use cash today, the transaction leaves no trace. 100 rupee note changes hands. Nobody knows where it went. Nobody can freeze it mid-transfer. Nobody can build a profile of your habits, your beliefs, your associations based on how you spend it. When you use a digital rupee in 2035, every payment is a data point. What you bought, where you bought it, at what time, with what frequency, in proximity to which other wallets, connected to which behavioral patterns. Your purchasing history becomes a surveillance asset. And the entities that hold that data are not neutral. The government that knows exactly how much you spend on medicine and which medicine now has leverage over your healthcare decisions. The algorithm that knows you spend more on comfort food during periods of stress can adjust the interest rate on your digital loan. The authority that tracks your donations, your subscriptions, your transactions with certain organizations can decide whether you are a security risk on the basis of where your money has traveled. This is not about conspiracy. This is about the structural power asymmetry that programmable, surveillable money creates between the state and the individual. In a world without cash, there is no anonymous transaction. There is no private purchase. There is no financial act that the system does not see, record, and retain. The financial system will not be the same for everyone in 2035. For the wealthy, for the politically connected, for those with access to decentralized alternatives, that future offers a world of frictionless luxury. Cross-border transactions that settle in seconds, assets that move across jurisdictions without intermediaries, wealth protected by cryptographic systems no central bank can freeze. They will live in a parallel financial universe, one built on private digital assets, offshore havens, and permissionless blockchains that governments cannot easily touch. For everyone else, for the ordinary citizen, the salaried worker, the small business owner, money in 2035 is a monitored utility, issued by the state, programmed with rules, tracked with precision, revocable with a keystroke. And the gap between these two financial realities is not narrowing, it is accelerating. The same governments building programmable currencies for their citizens are watching their wealthiest residents move assets into systems those currencies cannot reach. The response, as history consistently shows, will not be to offer the same freedom to everyone. It will be to tighten control over those who cannot escape. The paper note in your wallet has been the dominant form of money for centuries because it did one thing remarkably well. It gave the holder autonomy. No permission required, no identity check, no expiration date, no programmable restriction. That autonomy is now being dismantled, not because money needed to be more efficient, but because autonomous money is uncontrollable money. And uncontrollable money is incompatible with the systems of surveillance, behavioral engineering, and centralized power defining the 21st century. What does it mean to own something that can be deactivated remotely? What does it mean to spend something that judges what you spend it on? The systems are already being built. The pilots are already running. The only question left is whether you notice before the choice is no longer yours. Do subscribe to The Next World to see what is coming next. The future waits for no one.